Hey guys, we're going to be back and we are going to learn about area and circumference of a circle. I have two circles here. Again, you can get a cup or something small that has a circular base and you can trace these. Okay, you can pause the video, trace these, and label these. As you see, we have a center in the middle with a line labeled 6. And then you have a line that goes across. Remember, that's the diameter. Goes through the center, and we have a 10. So the first thing we're going to want to know is what are our formulas. So up top, let's write down what our formulas are. We have circumference, okay, and that is 2 pi r, or if you have the diameter, it is pi d. Okay, and when we're looking at those, we are going to use those formulas to plug in a bunch of numbers. Okay, and then we have our area, which is pi r squared, but the easiest way to write that is, or put it in your calculator, is pi times r times r. Okay, so we're going to use those two formulas, and we're going to show what they are with these two circles and what it equals out to be. So the first one we're going to do is the easiest one, the radius one, because we have r all over these formulas. So I'm going to write down the formulas here. So our first step is to write down formulas. So circumference is pi times r. And don't worry about that pi symbol because I know that's really confusing. Excuse me, 2 pi r. That's really confusing when you look at that. And it looks like a little table. If you want to write it like this, you may do so. That's a little easier. Then our pi is actually equal to 3.14. And it has a lot of numbers that goes after that, and it never ends, but easiest way to put it in our calculator is 3.14. So when I look at this, we already have our radius. Our radius is 6. Let's put it equals r here because we know that that is our radius. We know that r is equal to 6. So I'm going to take our formula, 2 times pi times r, and I'm going to plug things in. Well, I have my pi, 3.14, and I have my r, 6. So I'm going to rewrite and plug that in. 2 times, well, instead of writing this pi symbol, I'm going to put 3.14, or erase and plug that in, times r, which is our 6. Plug that in. You're going to literally take your calculator and type this into your calculator. Okay, type it in exactly the way you see it. 2 times 3.14 times 6. And you should get 37.68. Okay, so our steps is to write the formula down. Remember, pause the video if you need a little bit more time to write down our steps or write down what I'm writing. Write your formula. Plug in numbers. Solve in the calculator. Okay. All right. So we found our circumference here. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to hold the paper up here. We found our circumference. Now I want to find the area. Okay, so if I look back up here, I have my area, which is A equals pi times r times r. Well, I'm going to rewrite that down here. A equals pi times r times r. Okay, well, I have my pi. It's always going to be 3.14. That's what that represents. That's what that symbol represents. And then we have the r. Well, in this question, it's 6. And I just write it again. So I'm going to rewrite this 3.14 times 6 times 6. I'm going to erase and plug in each one of those. Okay, now I solve it in a calculator, right? Write my formula, plug in my numbers, solve in a calc. Sorry, it's moving and I'm trying to hold this camera at the same time. All right, so when I put that all in there, 3.14 times 6, my calculator has 113.04. Okay, so my area is 113.04, and my circumference for this circle is 37.68. Okay. Now if we look, this one's slightly tricky. Okay, it doesn't have a radius. We have to solve for the radius because this is our diameter. Okay, solve for radius. I know that the radius is half the circle, so half of 10, what you can do is 10 divide 2, because you have to split it in half, make it 2 chunks. 1, 2 is 5. So to find the radius, you have to take that diameter and divide it by 2. Okay, that's one of the trickiest pieces besides plugging it in and solving. So let's take that. We are going to start with our circumference first. We have 2 times pi times r now. Okay, I'm going to plug that in. 2. What was our pi? Our pi is 3.14. What was our radius on this one? Our 5. Okay. When I plug that in and I solve that in a calculator, 2 times 3.14 times 5. Take your time, plug that in, solve it. Double check it with me. 31.4 should be our answer for our circumference, the area around the circle. Okay, now I'm going to take my area formula, which is that pi times r times r. Okay, look up here. Well, our area or our radius was 5, and our pi is always 3.14. I'm going to take that, plug that in. 3.14 times 5. Oh, and another 5 because we have 2 radiuses sitting there. Okay, when I solve for that, I put it in my calculator, 3.14 times 5, and we get an automatic, put it in your calculator, double check Miss Batten's work, 78.5. So for this circle, our circumference is 31.4, and our area is 78.5. Awesome job. You should see these on the worksheet. Try and remember that if it goes across the entire circle, that is the diameter. That's the trick. You got to solve for the radius to put it in our nice formulas. Plug in and solve. Let's go back to those steps. Write down the formula, plug in the numbers, solve it in your calculator. Awesome job, you guys.